over the years, I've really kind of been trying to find that fit of Bharatanatyam to the US. I was born and raised in America, so I am very much an American and, have understand how some of the old ways of doing things don't quite captivate attention spans here. So a lot of my trajectory in my dance has been trying to find ways for me to get excited about the dance and in doing so then to translate the form for other people. So it was really kind of a confluence of a lot of things. So over the summer, I had a chant I couldn't get out of my head. It was a chant that my father taught me when I was a child, and it just, for some reason, stuck in my head. And right before the pandemic hit, I actually was able to buy a piano, which has been a dream of mine for many years. I've been traveling around, and finally we have this home in the mountains in Western North Carolina. And so I started harmonizing this chant on the piano. I'm a classically trained musician as well, and it sounded really creepy. And it was just kind of this combination of Eastern and Western, the Hindu chant with Western harmonization, which doesn't exist in any Eastern musical tradition. There is no harmony; it's just melody. And in starting to develop that music over the summer, and then having this piece come about, I started thinking, well, why not create a piece to this music, something that is grounded in an Indian tradition, but really departs from it and blends different cultures. Um, the different ideas of kind of being cocooned during a pandemic, some of the gestures in the photos invoked animals, like the way you might show an animal in my dance tradition. And so that combined with the fact that, some of the few places we could go during this pandemic were in nature. And I live in the mountains, which is absolutely beautiful. So my head just kind of started swirling around kind of animalistic, natural ideas. And I love this idea of a cocoon kind of opening up and this little tiny nymph, a tiny little insect coming out into the world for the first time, which is both beautiful but also haunting and scary. And that was kind of the emotion in the music that I was developing at the time as well. So it was just a really nice kind of coming together of all of these things that was inspired by, music I was developing, the images that we had, and just this weird time during the pandemic.
Um, we met once to we when we emailed back and forth, let me back up, and sort of came decided to come to the table with a couple of selections. I think eight were like our top picks, and we had a lot of overlap when we actually met via Zoom for the first time. And yeah, I mean the images were so striking and different. It was really it wasn't difficult to pick ones that were interesting and really inspiring to use. So yeah, we met. We just basically decided on the five images and left it up to us from there to go how we wanted to depart from that starting place.
Yeah, I would just add that I think we ranked them knowing that we weren't going to come up with the same five, and it was interesting to see the differences in choices. I think coming from a classical tradition, I definitely gravitated towards the images that had strong poses and maybe hand gestures because that's a huge part of the form that I practice. And I saw, Audrey, that some of the images you gravitated towards seemed to have more kind of flow
Mm.
and maybe air or ground type of movement, which is less a part of my dance. So it was interesting for me to kind of see some of that difference in choices, and there was some overlap there, but it was also instructive just to kind of know that we were coming from really different traditions.